Brighton 2, Manchester City 1 in a game that City were quite comfortable in, if we're being absolutely honest, but they threw it away. They bottled it. Gruda with the late winner to sink Pep Guardiola's men to back-to-back defeats in the Premier League, for them to sit 12th in the table, 4 places behind struggling Manchester United, to be absolutely accurate, who sit 8th in the league table. A disastrous afternoon for Pep Guardiola's men. Back-to-back defeats. The only win so far this season against a true relegation candidate in Wolverhampton Wanderers. But Pep and his team running out of ideas today, not knowing what to do, looking all out of shape. If we're being absolutely honest, all out of shape, no idea. And not a response, not a singular response to the 60th minute substitutions, where let's have it absolutely right. Okay, let's have it absolutely right. Fabian Hürzeler absolutely outcoached Pep Guardiola in every single which way. Yes, Pep's team were the better side in the opening 60 minutes. They were, but they became lackadaisical. They weren't willing to work hard enough. And Brighton, who, in fairness to them this season, have suffered very similarly to Manchester United, an inability to convert chances, an inability to put games to bed. And you saw that in the first half, if we're being absolutely honest. But they made the 4 substitutions, Milner, Rota, Gruda, and Ayara coming on. And it just gave Brighton a bit of a different feel. I felt that Belieber and Hinselwood did okay in the middle, but they weren't good on the ball. They weren't good enough on the ball today. They weren't enough of a threat. Gomez and Welbeck taken off as well, but it just gave a different dynamic to Brighton in those last 30 minutes, and Man City was steamrolled. Pep Guardiola had absolutely no response whatsoever. Completely outmanaged, outworked, outthought, and outthought at the same time. And that is back-to-back defeats. And no, at this stage of the season, I'm not going to say it is crisis settings just yet. But you're not too far away, because you can't win the league in the first 3, 4, 5, 6 games. But you can certainly stop yourself from being able to win it. A win, listen, they'll be screaming for a draw today, but a win for an Arsenal or a win for a Liverpool, a win today for an Arsenal or a win today for Liverpool changes the complexities of that table. Suddenly you're going to be 5 points off the top. Yes, it's early in the season, but you're already seeing a big gap start to be created this early, and City look vulnerable. Hundreds of millions of pounds spent. I don't even know what it is. What is it? 400 million, 500 million has been spent since the January window on new players. And for me, they've looked really poor in these last 2 games. Really, really poor indeed. 300 and over 400 million euros in that time spent. So what's been 170? Let me just stop that a second. Let me just get these numbers. 176 plus 243. So 400. Okay. And 419 million euros. That comes in at 363 million pounds spent in the last 2 windows, and they don't look much better. And I tell you what was really annoying for me to watch as just a football fan. What I praised Pep Guardiola's City teams for such a long time was their ability to work hard, their ability to get back into shape, their ability to cover holes in their team. And when you watch Gruda's goal go in at the end, there was no backline, there was no midfield, there wasn't a compactness. There wasn't players busting a gut, running through brick walls to ensure that they were back in position. This is what Pep's teams are famed for. People always speak about the tiki-taka football, even the high press being an important part, but it was how quickly they got back into shape, how difficult it was for teams to penetrate. And we saw this in the Wolverhampton Wanderers game, but we did overlook it a little bit. We overlooked it because we viewed it very much as, well, look, it was opening 20 minutes and they blew Wolverhampton Wanderers away. And we were wrong to do that. Those frailties seen in the first 20 minutes against Wolverhampton Wanderers have been there to see against Brighton today. And of course, we saw them against Tottenham Hotspur next week. Up next for Manchester City is Manchester United, who themselves have had their problems so far this season, but I'm going to say it. Man United have been better than Man City so far this campaign. Performances we're talking here, not results, because performances is where your sustainability, performances is where your consistency comes from. And I'll be honest, I've been really, really disappointed with the quality of City in the last two games. A lack of work rate, a lack of work ethic, and a lack of clinical edge. Yes, Haaland gets his goal today, but in the last two matches, I've seen him miss big chances. Reinders, I was blown away by him in his first match. In the last two games, I wouldn't say he's playing badly. He'll pass the eye test, but what is he doing from a penetration point of view? What is he doing in relation to putting that ball into the back of the net? You know, and it was the final ball today that was nowhere near for me the levels needed. You know, Omar Mamouche created a couple of chances. Reinders created a couple. In fact, Jeremy Dorgu created the joint most amount of chances on the pitch for City today. And he came on, with 20 minutes or so to go to try and change things. Absolutely not good enough in terms of a creative nature. Even as a team and as a system, the commentators kept on saying that City were maybe relaxed. And I'm looking at some of your comments, and I think you guys are right. I think you guys are hitting the nail on the head. It wasn't they were relaxed. They run out of ideas. They run out of legs. And then Brighton, who kept a lot in reserve, made very good substitutions, just kept on pecking away, and eventually broke them down. But Man City bottled that one in every single which way. And maybe they didn't even bottle it. Maybe I'm being disingenuous. Maybe I'm being disrespectful to Brighton. Maybe Brighton just were out and out the better team in that match, and they should be given, and maybe I should be giving them more flowers than I potentially am. But look, I want your views. I want your opinions on that. We're going to take some calls soon. But Man City, it's a bit of a... Listen, you could be on the edge of a crisis here. And we're putting it in the context of where you are as a football club. You're not in a crisis compared to Wolves. You're not in a crisis compared to even where Manchester United are, although you actually sit 4 places below us in the league table. You're a team that's expected to win the league every year. And right now, 3 games in, they say you shouldn't take the league table too seriously at this point. And I get why. Because this is how crazy it is. If Arsenal and Liverpool draw their next 2 games, including when they play each other today, and Chelsea and Man United win, United can go ahead of all those teams that are favourite to win the league. And we're not favourites to win the league. But what you can't ignore is the performances at this stage. For me, results-based analysis is important, but people pick and choose when they want to focus on it. I'm not doing results-based analysis now on City, because if City were mesmerising in the last couple of games, but somehow didn't win, you know the wins are coming. That isn't there. What hasn't been addressed yet, 363 million spent. Arsenal are getting stick and pressure for dropping 300 million this summer. 360 in the last 2 windows by Manchester City, and defensively, they look a shambles. When you get at them, they look nervous. And I'll say this now. There is a genuine chance they lose 3 in a row. Man United could go to the Etihad and get a result. And where do they go from there? Because for me, it was my hot take at the beginning of the season. I'm throwing it out there. My hot take at the beginning of the season is Pep Guardiola could quit by Christmas. And it was a little bit of a throwaway comment. I said it with a little bit of jest. But if they lose a couple more games in short space of time, that man is going to start scratching his face again. That man is going to start to lose it. And equally, listen, everybody deserves scrutiny. Everybody does. I want to congratulate Brighton, though. I want to mention Brighton for a moment, because I think this is you see signings nowadays. We used to give signings a year or 2 before we judged them. Then it became half a season. Then it became the first 10 games. Then it became the 007, and people are still doing that. The babies are still doing that now. Then it became pre-season. Then it became, I'm going to judge them completely on the day they're signed, and I'm never going to change. We saw that a few years ago with Kai Havertz. Are you happy with him? No. What would make you be happy with him? Nothing ever. I'm never changing my mind. We've gone from 2 years to I'm not changing my mind on day 1. And that's how we've gone to assess people. We've also got to this point now where we're assessing team seasons based on the first 2 or 3 games, league position-wise, not performances, league position-wise. And Brighton might fall off this year. Well, that tells me you didn't watch Brighton's first 2 games. They were only in the bottom 5 because they weren't converting chances. Their play and their domination in large parts was there. They were creating a huge amount of chances to score. They just weren't converting. Ironically, the same as Manchester United. Today, They converted their chances and they won. But in terms of performances, I have no fear about them getting relegated or anything crazy like that because their performances are good. Teams that get relegated fail to perform. Yes, you can do results-based analysis at times and it holds some water, but you have to look at the performances. City, on the other hand, I'm looking at their opening 3 performances for a team that are being judged against title contenders, not teams like Man United that might make it into Europe, not upstarts like Nottingham Forest and Brentfords and Brightons that want to be in Europe, and not relegation teams. They are being judged against Arsenal and against Liverpool and against Chelsea. They're getting judged against PSG's, Real Madrid's, Barcelona's, Bayern Munich's. City have been horrendous in their category of the game. Pound for pound, horrendous. We're not going to judge it on a monolith. That's for the amoebas and the silly people. Huge soul searching. It's a good thing it's international break for them because I think City fans will be thoroughly disappointed with their team after that one. But I wanted to congratulate Brighton because I felt they've not deserved. They didn't deserve to be on 1 point after 2 games. I wouldn't have even thought they'd deserved to have been on 1 point. They'd have lost 1-0 today. 1 point in the 3 games of how they've played, I just felt didn't reflect what I was seeing on the pitch. So I'm very happy for them indeed. By the way, big shout out to West Ham for beating Forest 3-0 away from home because that was a massive result for them indeed because that also helped push my team up into 8th. So thank you. my club's been rightfully criticised this week, but we are sitting in 8th. And part of me feels like saying, stop the count. Because if Man United finish the season 8th, we'll probably get left alone by our rivals. Stop the count. Keep it as it is. I'll take 8th now. I'll bite your hand off. But you shouldn't take the league position too seriously at this stage. Like I've said, by end of game week 4, with the right results this afternoon and the right results, then United could be top. And we're not title contenders. So performances is what you should always look at in the first 10 games. That is how football is always assessed. That's how my grandfather's generation assessed it. My great-grandfathers, my fathers, and mine. It's only this current generation in the last 2 years. The league table after 3 games is everything. I don't know where this has come from. The mainstream media have done an horrendous job of pulling into it, and we have to fight back against it as football fans because it's just bollocks. It's like judging a boxer by how good he is on a speed bag. It's fucking radio rental mental. It really is. A super chat here from Akil, and I'm going straight to the calls. Obviously, we've got a big game coming up in 15 minutes, and we all want to get there. It says, everybody said City is better than Chelsea. Hold that. Chelsea is better than City in every department, including defensively. Yes. If you look at last season, if you look at pre-season, and you look at the opening 3 games performance-wise, I absolutely agree with you. Chelsea look a much better team at this particular moment. Arsenal look a better team. Liverpool look a better team. Spurs have. I mean, yesterday was a weird game. I watched the extended highlight. I couldn't believe they didn't have a shot until like the 70th minute. Man United have. I say it with chest. And this isn't a pissing contest. I'm just talking performances. Man United's 3 performances have been better than Man City's. We have the same amount of points, but our performances have been better. And we've played arguably hard. You could argue harder teams. We fought a relegation we played a relegation team like them, a mid-table team, and a title contender. They've played 2 mid-table teams and a relegation candidate. So I'm really intrigued to see what City are like when they go up against an Arsenal. Oh, sorry, no, we do have more points than City. We have 1 more point than them, so they lost today. Sorry, my bad. But yeah, we've performed better than them. And look, City won't get the same criticism because there isn't the money to be made in the headlines. There isn't. If Man United lost this game just now, there'd be 8,000, 9,000 people watching my shows. The newspapers, there's no point doing 3-page spreads on how bad City's system is because nobody's going to read it. No one cares enough. And that isn't that City fans don't care. It's just there isn't enough eyes on that. They'll go, right, we'll focus on a different problem that earns them more money. And it's a shame, really, because I think it's part of it. Part of the education of football that I went through growing up was everybody being scrutinized at the right time and praised at the right time. And I think, let's see what happens, but I think Pep and City will get away with it again, which they shouldn't, because it's been almost 12 months of terrible football by their standards, and it should be criticized. But we won't be. It is what it is. Thank you, by the way, Hams Man, very much. Thank you very much for becoming an official member of the Football Terrace. It means a great deal to us that you've done that. Right. I've got Kel, I've got Lewis, I've got Judge Mo coming on the show with me now. Where are my earphones? I've only just got back from being away and I had to reset my room up. My dog was very happy to see me, though. He's very excited. He nearly knocked me out. He jumped up and headbutted me. He's a very big dog. He's like 50-kilo German Shepherd, and he headbutted me. And I'm not even going to lie. If I was a cartoon character, there'd have been stars and birds tweeting around my head. I nearly got knocked out. But he's a very happy boy. So it's great to be back. And it's great to be back with you all. Where's the buttons I need? Right, let's remove a few things from my screen. Let's remove the comment. Let us remove the scoreboard. I'll move across, and I'm going to bring everybody in now as well. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all good. Kel, another disastrous result for Man City. Another poor performance, especially in the last 30 minutes. Break it down for me, please.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad in the first half. You know, we looked better. But once again, just like last season, that midfield is just a problem. But I'll say who was not a problem today is our Ballon d'Or winner is back. That was a very impressive performance from Rodri. I did not think he was going to go the full 90. Definitely not the problem today. But the rest of the midfield just kind of a mess. And it got really bad. That last 30 minutes, like you mentioned, that was when Bernardo subbed off. And we just don't realize all the dirty work that he does until he's not on the pitch. And then everything just kind of falls apart. And so that was another story today. Just I have to give credit to Brighton, though. Those 4 subs that they brought on really made a huge difference, and they were the much better team after that happened. We kind of fell off after that, and then our subs, I just didn't understand them. I was like, why are you taking Marmoush off for Doku? Because Doku just doesn't create in the final third. He doesn't. Okay, everyone's like, ooh, the Aston Villa game last season, but other than that, like he's just not the guy you want on the end when you need a goal. He's not the guy you need to bring on. So. Yeah, frustrating game. Yeah, you know, this midfield needs time to gel, man. I know I raved about Tijani Reinders, but he's definitely struggled the past 2 games. When he eventually catches up and gets in sync with the rest of this midfield, I think that's when the team is really going to take off. But if we keep dropping points, it'll just be too little too late. I also want to shout out James Trafford. There's been a lot of speculation about a new keeper. I thought he had a great game. I'm not going to blame him for missing or not saving a pen. And I guess at the end it was a little poor, but it's also poor night Nori. So
yeah, I get that. Are you, Kel, how concerned are you? Because look, I know it's a little, you know, United probably have been better marginally over the 3 games, but that isn't really where you guys want to be judged against. Do you want to be judged? You're being judged against Liverpool's and the Arsenals and the Chelseas, the title contenders. You're judged against the European elite. How far, honestly, do you think you're off that right now, their level?
I mean, right now we're nowhere near contending for the Premier League or the Champions League, in my opinion. Just like I said, I think we have the players in place. They just need time. And unfortunately, we don't have time right now. Like we've already dropped 6 points 3 games into the season. That could be pretty fatal in terms of a title race. But I think that will click eventually. Like last season, absolute nightmare, and we went on this massive unbeaten run at the end. I think we can kind of do the same thing again. But yeah, until this team clicks, it's gonna be rough to watch. And this is a rebuild. This is what happens. We've had this really solid midfield for 10 years, and this midfield has been torn apart. And so you're putting new players in. I think we recruited well. It's just they're gonna take time. I got overgassed about Tijani after the Wolves game. I'm willing to admit that it's gonna take him a little more time to settle. Clearly,
I hear that. Lewis, thank you, Kel. Lewis is another City fan who's with us today. Break down the game for me. You know, you take the lead, you look quite comfortable, but a lot of our viewers have said, Terry, I don't think City were comfortable. I think City run out of ideas in the game. How did you see it from a City perspective, mate?
Yeah, for me, I've seen that game. I feel like I've seen that game 15 or 20 times now. You know, it's a different season, but it's the same issues that we had, you know, for the last half of last season. I don't know where the mentality's gone, but the mentality seems to have left the squad at the minute, and I don't know if that's because we've lost a lot of those players like Kevin De Bruyne who would drag you through games. But for me, there's no urgency. It felt like we coasted that second half, in which it was a second half in which, you know, we in parts of that game we were bullied a little bit. Not as bad as Spurs. I think the second half against Spurs was even worse in that regard. But we were okay for the first. We were okay for spells of the first half. I just don't think we're creating enough at the minute. We're too reliant on certain players. We're too reliant on Haaland popping up with a goal. You know, we've been very spoiled in the past. I remember seasons where we had 5 players scoring 20 goals. And, you know, you look at where we are now when we're so far away from that. I couldn't, you know, I'd struggle to find you 3 or 4 that would score 20 goals for us at the minute, barring, you know, Haaland and maybe if Foden had a standout season, which again we've not had for a few years.
Yeah, I agree. As much as you had a lot of the ball, you know, you again, whether people want to use their eyes, whether they want to do what I do and use data as well. I was looking at it, and you had 60% of the ball over the whole game. But in that first 60 minutes, you had 60 to 70% of the ball. You had about 10 shots, but it was only 10 shots on goal. The XG, if you want to use XG that like it, was around 1 point, I think at the time, 1.2, 1.3. So for all of that possession, it wasn't as though you were creating lots of goal scoring opportunities as an example. And then it just became slow. And I mean, the shocking bit for me, Lewis, was Pep had 0 response to those 4 substitutions. And for the last 30 minutes, it was all one-way traffic.
Yeah, I think you look at the players that we decided to bring on, and you know, I don't like jumping on Rico Lewis because I think at the end of last season there was a lot of stick that went his way, but I think it shows where we are at the minute, where you know we're trailing, we're needing a goal, and we're bringing on Rico Lewis, you know, and then we're bringing on Doku, and again, you know, I've stuck up for Doku. I think he's a good player. But we're at a situation at the minute where the club doesn't have any wingers that are impacting the game. So, you know, from that regard, it's crazy. You know, we should be a top 2, you know, top 4 team, let's say. Maybe, you know, probably top 2 if you go off the last kind of 6-7 years. And we've not got any wingers that are affecting the game at the minute, which terrifies me. It's the last, we've got 24 hours for the window closes, something like that, maybe less. And I've not heard anything. You know, there's nothing in terms of, you know, fixing that issue. I think that's the biggest issue at the minute. You know, we had players like Mahrez back in the day that would come on. I wasn't a Sterling fan, but I'd have took Sterling today over any of the wings that we brought on. So I think that's one of the biggest issues with the club at the minute, which is just not providing enough threat.
No, I hear you. And where's Foden today? One on the bench, was he? Is he injured?
Injured.
Okay, cool.
He's injured, and Turkey was injured, and we missed that badly.
Yeah,
Bob had a decent first half, but he faded second half. And
young players do, and you know he's young. He's got no experience because he missed the whole of last season injured. And I think it's just like my club, Man United, has made this massive mistake in recent years of putting all this. Oh, the kid will carry us. We just got to stop doing. I think it's every now and then you get a Yamal as an example that can do it at that age, Rooney. But these kids are as rare as rocking horse shit, and they shouldn't be the mean. Mo, from an outsider's point of view, what did you make of it, bro? Break it down.
I thought Rodri is back, and I thought City are going to be great, and everything is going to click. But listen, game week 3 and Man United are above Manchester City. You know, this is just the table says that. Erling Haaland missed a couple of chances. City could have been 2-0 earlier in the game, but he missed chances, reckless in front of the goal. Absolutely. Omar Marmoush is trying his best. I don't think City knows how to play with these players. He doesn't have Kevin De Bruyne. Oscar Bob is so different than the wingers he has. Omar Marmoush is so different than the wingers he had before. Tijani Reinders is not a player that sticks to formation and instructions. And you can tell today that he was all over the place. He's a very talented player, looks fantastic, but he doesn't help Rodri defensively. Rodri was struggling big time in transition in the second half, which is something that we have said. He's much slower than before. On the ball, he looks brilliant. Ballon d'Or, Rodri, brilliant distribution and everything. Off the ball, he needs a lot of help, and Reinders is not that help. So maybe Nico Gonzalez needs to play. Defensively, Nouri's positioning was awful. Kozanov relies on speed. I think the City team might even finish 4th or 5th if they continue like this, if they don't get anybody in the window. I'm being serious. Yeah, you might click on the side. You might finish 4th or 5th. And now all the takes that people said that the City team is not going to win the title, is not going to challenge, I stick by it. I don't think City will be in the title race unless investments are made again, unless Pep Guardiola changes something dramatically in the team. He keeps insisting on pass the ball again. He went back to the boring football that he used to play, but you don't have these players that will make things happen out of nowhere. Marmoush, by the way, he had the assist. That was not meant as a pass. He was trying to dribble. He was trying to dribble in the 18. Man City, to be honest with you, Terry, I'm just going to say something.
Yeah, go on.
Man City are cooked. Like, with this lineup, Matthias Nunes right back. Asking Ait Nouri to defend. He has Bernardo Silva. Kilku's talking to me in the group stage. Yeah, I know you want to end.
No. I just agree.
And she said one thing, right? She said, how, when Bernardo left, our midfield looked worse. How in 2025, we're still relying on Bernardo Silva to carry the midfield? Like, how is this even possible?
I'll tell you why this all is, though, and I don't disagree with you. And look, I'm defending Pep here to a certain degree. Recruitment. Pep's always had this accusation, and I didn't like it, that he was a checkbook manager. And I don't like that because all the top managers at all the biggest clubs in the world for 50 years have spent more money than the teams at the smaller clubs. That being said, we all get at managers that we don't like and go, your system don't work. Buy them the players for that system that make it work. That's the modern day game that we're in. You need players that make your system work. The recruitment at Man City, you can go back as far as the Calvin Phillips recruitment. You even look at Jack Grealish. Look how good he looks at Everton, right? Barely did that for City. Not because he's a bad player, not because City's a bad, not because Pep's a bad coach, because they didn't fit each other. But the amount of signings City have made in the last few years, where I don't think there's been a good enough immediate, medium, or long-term impact from these players, is startling. It's been, a lot of it is poor recruitment. And then Pep, where he is struggling, and I think this is, mate, it's not a dig, it's the truth. He's only ever really been at places where the team was already good and then recruited to make better, Barca, Bayern, and City. What he didn't do was come up through a lower level team where he's had to scrimp and scrape and borrow and makeshift and mend. So now he's in a scenario where he's like, shit, how do I make this work when I don't have everything I need? And I think we're seeing a different thing. He never had to do what Jose did, where he takes over a Porto and turns a Portuguese team into the best team in Europe for a period of time. It's a different skill set that's required here. And I'm not blaming Pep, because Pep burst onto the scene and he did what he did and he was in a different lane. But it's in these moments, Pep needs better recruitment, the same as all top managers need good recruitment. And I think City's has been poor. Now, I'm not blaming the new guys because they've only been here a couple of games. I'm not writing them off, but it's outside of that. It's all the money spent on the Dokus and the Savinhos and the like before. Nunes, all that money, hundreds of millions. That they're just, end of the day, Pep system one thing, football changing another. They're just not good enough football players. Like, let's go to the simple solution here. Man United have had this problem for a while. Oh, should we play this? Should we play 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, 3 at the back, 5 at the back, 10 at the back, 9-1-1, 9-9-9, E17, whatever you want, take that. Well, hang on a minute. The players have got managers sacked in every formation. Do you know why? Because they're just not fucking good enough. And I think City's recruitment is a massive part of the problem here. To defend the manager, I think City have just bought shockingly bad for 3 years.
Especially in the midfield, too. The last good midfielder we bought was Rodri 5 seasons ago. And it took him 2 years to become Rodri. Like, our midfield recruitment has been poor, but part of that was just because we had such a stacked midfield. Nobody wanted to come and be benched by Gundogan, Bernardo, KDB, Rodri. Like, those were prime players for a long time, and they've reached the end of their cycle. De Bruyne left. Bernardo is going to leave next summer, and we've kind of failed to replace them. That's why we're still relying on them, unfortunately, because unfortunately nobody's been better than Bernardo. Like, what Bernardo, he's declined a lot. I was whining about it all last season, but that's all we have. We don't have to do better than him.
No, I agree. Guardiola shouldn't have extended his contract. Maybe not. PD here says, off topic Mo, PGMOL admitted VAR from Chelsea game messed up yesterday. Want to change your stance on it? Not on that stream though. Cook City. We'll talk about it in the week because I only caught up with that earlier on today. It's crazy. Honestly, City might go down with the 1-1-5s and even without them playing that badly. It's just Arsenal hate when people would predict City above us. Look, they're not going to go down, right? Let's be honest. Like, even Man United, as much as our results have been poor, like, you just actually look at it and the way we've performed, even City not being great, like, pound for pound, City ain't going down, right? This is just stupid. But will they be in the title race? not performing like this. Look, people, this is going to redirect you to Hassam's channel. Go and support the watch along for Liverpool Arsenal. We're live straight after that game, so I want to see you all back here in about an hour and a half's time. That game is just kicked off this last second, so I know that the panel want to go and watch that as well. Until next time, everybody, take care, goodbye, God bless, and we'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.